You're fired. Consider it my gift to you." The text message burned into my retinas as I stood in my wedding dress, bouquet still in hand. Moments before, I had said "I do" to the love of my life. Now, in the church lobby, surrounded by floating floral arrangements and the distant murmur of excited guests, I stared at my phone in disbelief. Sofia Mendoza, my boss's daughter, the woman who had made my work life miserable for 3 months, had chosen my wedding day, to terminate my employment. I showed the message to Alex, my brand new husband. His reaction surprised me. Instead of indignation, a knowing smile spread across his face. He took my trembling hands, kissed my knuckles, and whispered, "Check your messages later. Today belongs to us." And how could he be so calm? I had just lost my job as senior project manager at the most prestigious architecture firm in the city, the position I had exhausted myself working for, the career I had built over 2 dedicated years. But something in Alex's eyes told me to trust him. So I silenced my phone, tucked it into my maid of honor's purse, and walked with my husband through the great church doors into a shower of rose petals and applause. 3 hours later, during our first dance, Carmen, my maid of honor, came running over with wide eyes. "Emma, your phone won't stop ringing. You have 108 missed calls." I checked the screen. Calls from the office, from coworkers, and 17 from a number I recognized instantly. Francisco Mendoza, the company owner, Sofia's father. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a termination. This was the beginning of something much bigger than I could have imagined. Before I continue, if you're enjoying this story, please take a second to like and subscribe. Many listeners hear these stories but never engage, and that means you might miss future uploads when the algorithm skips you. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this ends. Back to my wedding day nightmare. My name is Emma Torres, and until that text message, I was the beating heart of Crescent Moon Design Studios. I'm meticulous by nature, the type of person who color codes their grocery lists and can spot a measurement error in architectural plans from across the room. My colleagues called me the database because I remembered every client preference, every project detail, every deadline without needing to check notes. My parents were both teachers who valued precision and hard work. When Dad had his stroke during my freshman year of college, I almost dropped out to help Mom with medical bills. Instead, I doubled my course load while working nights at a print shop. I graduated with honors in architectural project management with minors in computer systems and urban planning. That's how I landed a job at Crescent Moon 2 years ago. Francisco Mendoza, the founder, recognized my unusual combination of architectural knowledge and systems thinking. He hired me to modernize their project management approach. I designed a proprietary system from scratch, one that tracked every plan version, client request, budget allocation, and permit application. The system worked brilliantly. Project completion times dropped 30%. Client satisfaction scores soared. Francisco called me the best investment this company ever made. Then came Sofia. At 26, Sofia Mendoza had bounced between 3 different divisions of her father's company, never finding her place. She had her father's confident posture and sharp features, but none of his business acumen or people skills. More importantly, she harbored a deep resentment toward me that had started during a company retreat 6 months earlier. The incident was simple enough. During a team-building exercise, we were paired together for a problem-solving challenge. Sofia had proposed a solution that was technically flawed and potentially dangerous. I had politely suggested modifications, explaining the safety concerns in detail. She had taken my professional feedback as a personal attack, especially when other team members agreed with my assessment. From that moment, Sofia seemed to view me as a threat to her authority. Despite the fact that we worked in completely different departments, she began making subtle comments about my know-it-all attitude and questioning my recommendations in meetings where Francisco wasn't present. 3 months ago, Francisco announced his semi-retirement and promoted Sofia to department director, my direct supervisor. The atmosphere changed instantly. Where Francisco sought my input, Sofia excluded me from meetings. Where Francisco praised my innovations publicly, Sofia took credit for my ideas. When I scheduled training sessions to document my system for others, Sofia canceled them as unnecessary expenses. I met Alex during this time when I was submitting plans for Crescent Moon's biggest project, a multi-million-dollar downtown revitalization. He worked at the city's permit office, the calm and thoughtful man behind the counter who actually took time to review applications thoroughly instead of just rubber stamping them. We connected over plan discussions, then coffee breaks, then dinner dates. Alex became my sanctuary from the increasingly hostile work environment. What I didn't know then was that he was noticing troubling patterns in Crescent Moon's applications, specifically ones that Sophia had handled personally. 2 months into our relationship, Alex proposed. We planned a small wedding on short notice, partly because we were both practical people who didn't need extravagance, and partly because I sensed my position at Crescent Moon was becoming precarious. Sophia had been making comments about restructuring and optimization. I never imagined she would actually fire me on my wedding day. As the reception continued around me, I excused myself to the bridal suite and listened to Francisco's voicemail. "Emma, this is Francisco. Call me immediately. Sophia had no authority to fire you. There's been a terrible mistake. We need you. The downtown project deadline is Monday, and no one can access your system." 6 more messages followed, each more desperate than the last. In the final one, Francisco's voice had lost its usual confidence. "Emma, please. The West Zone development team is threatening to pull out. No one can find the updated renders. The password Sophia thought would work doesn't. We're at a standstill." I sat on the edge of a velvet armchair, my wedding dress pooling around me, and felt something unexpected: power. For 2 years, I had built a system so intuitive to me that I navigated it without thinking, but so complex that no one else could use it without proper training. Training that Sophia had repeatedly prevented. I was the only person alive who completely understood every function, every shortcut, every security mechanism I had built in. And now, on what should have been the worst professional day of my life, I held all the cards. Alex found me there staring at my phone. He sat beside me, careful not to wrinkle my dress. "I should tell you something," he said quietly. "The plans Sophia has been submitting to my department. She's been altering them after the engineering team signs off, removing safety features, substituting cheaper materials, things that would never pass proper inspection." My blood ran cold. "That's not just unethical, it's dangerous." Alex nodded. "I've been documenting everything. I was going to report it next week, but now—" I understood then why he had smiled at the termination message. This wasn't a setback. It was an opportunity. One that removed me from legal liability while simultaneously leaving the company defenseless without me. "What should we do?" I asked. Alex smiled. "Nothing. Not today. Today we dance. Tomorrow we fly to Hawaii for our honeymoon. And when we get back," he kissed my forehead, "we reshape the entire landscape." We returned to the reception, and I danced like a woman without a care in the world. By midnight, I had 212 missed calls. During our week-long honeymoon, the calls continued. I sent them all to voicemail. Francisco's messages evolved from urgent to desperate to practically pleading. On our 3rd day in Hawaii, while Alex and I sipped fresh coconut water on the beach, Francisco offered to triple my salary if I came back. I deleted the message without responding. 2 days later, he offered partial ownership in the firm. Again, I didn't respond. Alex watched me decline these incredible offers without comment. He understood something fundamental about me. This had never been about money. It was about respect. "You know," he said as we watched the sunset on our last night in Hawaii, "there's an opening on the consulting team for the city planning department. They need someone who understands architectural applications from both sides, someone who could create guidelines for proper protocols." I turned to him, intrigued. "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" "I'm suggesting you start your own consulting firm with the city as your first client. They'd pay you for your expertise in creating systems that catch exactly the kind of shortcuts Sophia was taking." The idea took root instantly. By the time our plane landed back home, I had drafted a business plan on my tablet. 3 days later, I registered Precision Protocol Consulting. My phone rang minutes after the business registration went public. Francisco Mendoza. For the first time in 2 weeks, I answered. "Emma, Thank God. We're in crisis. The downtown project is stalled. Clients are leaving. Please name your price. I'm sorry to hear that, Francisco, I said calmly. But I'm no longer available for employment. I've started my own consulting firm. Then we'll hire your firm. Whatever you charge, we'll pay it. I let silence stretch between us. My first client is the city planning department, Francisco. I'm designing new verification protocols for building applications. The sharp intake told me he understood the implications. If I was working with the city to create better verification systems, I would inevitably discover Sophia's dangerous alterations, if Alex hadn't reported them already. Emma, please. Sophia made a terrible mistake. She was jealous of your relationship with me, of your competence. Let me fix this. Some things can't be fixed, Francisco. Some bridges once burned remain ash. I ended the call and turned to Alex, who had been listening nearby. Is it wrong that felt so good? He shook his head. It's not wrong to stand up for yourself or public safety. The following week, I began my contract with the city. With my insider knowledge of how firms like Crescent Moon operated, I quickly identified vulnerabilities in the current verification system. I created new protocols that would catch unauthorized changes to approved plans, especially structural modifications made without engineering review. As part of the process, the city conducted an audit of recent applications. Predictably, they found numerous violations in Crescent Moon's downtown project plans, specifically in applications handled by Sophia. Load-bearing walls thinned out, foundation specifications altered, safety features removed to cut costs. The investigation was swift and damning. The downtown project was permanently halted and reassigned to a competing firm. Sophia wasn't just fired. She was blacklisted throughout the industry. Her professional license was suspended pending review. Crescent Moon Design Studios lost millions. Their 30-year reputation crumbled in 30 days. Through industry contacts, I heard that Francisco had suffered a minor heart attack from the stress. Despite everything, that news brought me no pleasure. Francisco had been a good mentor before his blind spot for his daughter clouded his judgment. My consulting business thrived. Within 6 months, I had contracts with 3 municipal governments and was hiring staff to keep up with demand. Alex received a promotion at the permit office for his ethical stance. We bought our first house, a fixer-upper with good bones and incredible potential, like our life together. Then, exactly 1 year after my wedding, a thick cream-colored envelope arrived at my office. Inside was a handwritten letter from Francisco Mendoza. Dear Emma, it began, some debts can never be fully repaid, but acknowledgement is the beginning of atonement. I have spent this year rebuilding what my daughter and my own negligence destroyed. Sophia has completed a professional ethics program and now works in an entry-level position under strict supervision. She understands the gravity of her actions. Crescent Moon has new leadership and new protocols. We have overhauled every system and every application process. We are a different company now. I am writing to ask if you would consider meeting with me, not to return. I understand that bridge is ash, but to consult on our new systems to ensure we never again fail the public trust. Whether you accept or decline, please know that my respect for you has only grown. You were right to hold your ground, right to protect the public, right to demand better. With sincere regret and admiration, Francisco Mendoza. I showed the letter to Alex that night. What do you think? Should I meet with him? Alex considered carefully. What would your purpose be in going? Closure, vindication, professional curiosity? I pondered his question. All of that, I suppose. And maybe to see if genuine change is possible. Then I think you have your answer. I scheduled the meeting for the following week. When my assistant told me Francisco had requested the meeting take place at Crescent Moon's offices rather than mine, I almost canceled. Returning to that building felt like stepping backward, but curiosity won. When I arrived, the receptionist, a new face I didn't recognize, greeted me with unusual deference. Ms. Torres, Mr. Mendoza is waiting for you in the main conference room. As I walked the hallways, I noticed significant changes. New faces, new energy, new systems visible on screens. They really had started over. The conference room door was open. I entered to find not just Francisco, but also Sophia, sitting rigidly beside her father. Francisco rose to greet me, but Sophia remained seated, eyes fixed on the table. "Emma, thank you for coming." Francisco's handshake was firm, but his face looked aged beyond the year that had passed. Stress had carved new lines around his eyes. I took a seat across from them. "Your letter was unexpected, as was this past year's education," Francisco replied, "but necessary." He looked at his daughter. "Sophia has something to say to you." Sophia finally looked up. The arrogant gleam I remembered had faded from her eyes, replaced by something unfamiliar. Humility, or at least its closest approximation. "I owe you an apology," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "What I did was unprofessional, vindictive, and potentially dangerous to the public. There's no excuse for my behavior." Her words sounded rehearsed, but the shame coloring her face seemed genuine. Still, an apology couldn't erase the past. "Apology noted," I replied, neither accepting nor rejecting it completely. Francisco cleared his throat. "There's more." He slid a folder across the table. "This company has been rebuilt from the ground up. New safety protocols, new review processes, new leadership structure. Sophia is no longer in management. She's relearning the business properly this time, from the bottom." I opened the folder. Inside was a detailed overview of their new systems. Impressively thorough, I had to admit, along with a consulting contract offering a substantial fee for my review and recommendations. "We're not asking you to come back," Francisco clarified, "just to evaluate our new approach, to ensure we've truly changed." As I examined the documents, Sophia suddenly stood. "There's something else." Her voice cracked slightly. She left the room, returning moments later with a smaller envelope, which she placed before me with shaking hands. Inside was a check for exactly the amount of my entire wedding, down to the last penny of the final floral arrangement. "How did you know this figure?" I asked, suspicious. "Your wedding planner is best friends with my wife's cousin," Francisco admitted. I asked for the total. I wanted it to be precise. Sophia spoke again, this time more steadily. "Consider it our gift to you, the one I said I was giving when I had no right." A flash of anger surged through me. Did they really think money could fix this? That they could buy their way back to ethical standing? Before I could respond, Sophia placed a small USB drive next to the check. "This also belongs to you. It's the entire project management system you created, with all passwords and access points. We've managed to recreate basic functionality, but it's never worked properly without you. It's yours to take or delete." I looked at the small drive, feeling the weight of 2 years' work condensed into something I could hold between 2 fingers. The system I had built so carefully, that had been weaponized against me when Sophia prevented others from learning it. In that moment, looking at these 2 people, one broken by their own ethical failures, the other humbled by the consequences of their arrogance, I realized something profound about revenge. Sometimes it comes without you having to deliver it yourself. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply surviving, thriving, and watching others deal with the mess they've made. I closed the folder and stood. "I'll review your proposals and respond within a week. My fee will be triple your initial offer, paid in advance. My team will need complete access and total transparency." Francisco nodded immediately. "Agreed. And one more condition." I looked directly at Sophia. "You personally will complete every training module I assign. No matter how basic or time-consuming, you'll learn every aspect of proper project management, ethical application practices, and regulatory compliance. You'll become the company's lead expert in doing things the right way." Color drained from Sophia's face, but she nodded. "Yes, I understand. Then we might have something to discuss." I gathered my belongings and walked toward the door, pausing with my hand on the handle. "Oh, and Francisco, the check is unnecessary. Watching your daughter learn the value of integrity will be gift enough." I left them sitting there, the check untouched on the table, and walked out of Crescent Moon Design Studios with my head held high. But this isn't where my story ends. It's where the real transformation began. That night, as Alex and I discussed the meeting over dinner, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Crescent Moon's competitor, the firm that had taken the downtown revitalization project, was under investigation for bribery. They had allegedly paid officials to fast-track approvals, despite serious design flaws. "Did you know about this?" I asked Alex. He shook his head. "The investigation just opened today. It's being handled by the state, not the city." I stared at my phone, mind racing. If Crescent Moon's competitor fell, the downtown project would be in limbo again. Millions in development funds would sit idle. Workers would lose jobs, and the community revitalization everyone had been promising for years would stall once more. "Maybe that's why Francisco reached out now," Alex suggested. "He must have known this was coming. He's positioning Crescent Moon to retake the project." The realization hit me like lightning. They weren't offering me a consulting job out of respect or remorse. They were courting me because Francisco needed my systems and expertise to capitalize on an opportunity when his competitor failed. I felt used again. "What are you going to do?" Alex asked, seeing the storm gathering in my expression. I pushed my plate away, appetite lost. "I'm going to sleep on it. This requires careful thought." But sleep eluded me that night. I tossed and turned, replaying the meeting in my mind. Was Sophia's contrition genuine or just another performance? Was Francisco truly committed to ethical reform or just desperate to save his legacy? And more importantly, what did I want my role to be in whatever came next? By morning, I had my answer. I called Francisco at 7 a.m. "I've reconsidered your offer," I told him. "I'm not interested in consulting for Crescent Moon." The disappointment in his silence was palpable. "I understand," he finally said. "However," I continued, "I am interested in something else. A partnership." "A partnership?" His voice rose with surprise. "My company oversees all project management and regulatory compliance. Crescent Moon handles design and construction. We operate as separate entities but present as partners to clients. This way, I maintain my independence while ensuring ethical standards are met." "That's highly unusual," Francisco said slowly. "So is firing someone on their wedding day," I countered. "I'm not interested in returning to a company where I could be undermined again, but I am interested in seeing that downtown project completed properly. The community deserves it." There was a long pause. "What about Sophia? Where does she fit in this arrangement?" "Sophia works for you, not for me. But any project she touches goes through triple verification by my team. No exceptions." Another pause. "I'll need to discuss this with my board." "You have 24 hours, I replied. "After that, I'll be submitting my own proposal to the city for the downtown project." I ended the call feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Complete ownership of my future. I was no longer reacting to what had been done to me. I was creating something new on my terms. 23 hours later, Francisco called back. "The board has approved your proposal with one addition. They want a minimum 3-year commitment. 2 years with option to extend based on performance metrics we both agree on in advance," I countered. Done. And so, Precision Protocol Consulting had its biggest client yet. When the competing firm was officially removed from the downtown project 2 weeks later, our newly formed partnership was ready with updated plans, enhanced safety features, and a comprehensive management system that combined the best of my original design with new safety protocols. The city awarded us the contract, partly due to our innovative partnership structure that promised both creative design and rigorous compliance verification. The press called it a new model for architectural accountability. Sophia was assigned as Junior Project Coordinator, a position 5 levels below her previous role. Each morning, she received a detailed training module from my team. Each evening, she was tested on the material. If she failed, she repeated the module the next day. To my surprise, she never complained. She completed every assignment meticulously, asked thoughtful questions, and gradually began showing genuine understanding of why the protocols existed. 3 months into our partnership, I arrived early at the construction site for an inspection and found Sophia already there, methodically checking concrete pour specifications against approved plans. "You don't have to verify this personally," I told her. "That's what the site engineers are for." She straightened, clipboard in hand. "I know, but I need to understand every aspect from the ground up. That's the only way I'll truly learn." I studied her, looking for signs of the arrogant young woman who had fired me by text. Instead, I saw someone different, someone chastened by failure and genuinely trying to rebuild herself. "Why did you do it?" I asked suddenly. "Why fire me specifically on my wedding day?" Sophia flinched, but held my gaze. "Because I knew you were right about everything. The training programs, the safety concerns, the need for better documentation, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand that you had built something so essential that even my father respected you more than me. So you tried to hurt me at my most vulnerable moment." She nodded, shame evident in her posture. I thought it would make me feel powerful. Instead, I watched everything collapse. The system no one could navigate, the projects no one could track. My father's face when he realized what I'd done. She swallowed hard. I destroyed in one moment what could have been the best mentorship I could have had. Her words hung in the morning air between us, unexpectedly genuine. "You can't undo the past," I said finally. "But you're right about one thing. I would have been a good mentor. I still could be if you earn it." Hope flickered in her face. "How?" "By becoming the kind of professional who puts safety and integrity above ego. By learning every aspect of this business properly. By admitting when you don't know something instead of hiding it." "I can do that," she said with quiet determination. "I will." I nodded. "Then let's start with these poor specifications. Show me what you found." For the next hour, I guided her through proper verification procedures, explaining the reasoning rather than just rules. She absorbed everything with genuine interest, asking intelligent questions that revealed a mind capable of much more than I'd given her credit for. As we finished and others began arriving for the day's work, Sophia hesitated, then asked, "Do you think you'll ever really forgive me?" I considered the question carefully. Forgiveness isn't something owed to you. It's something that might develop over time through consistent actions rather than apologies. Show me who you're becoming, not who you regret being. She nodded, accepting the challenge without protest. Over the following months, the downtown project progressed ahead of schedule. Our partnership model received national attention with other municipalities expressing interest in similar arrangements. My consulting firm expanded to 15 employees, while Crescent Moon gradually rebuilt its reputation under the new structure. Francisco, true to his word, kept Sophia on a strict learning track. The young woman who had once sabotaged training sessions now organized them herself, ensuring every team member understood both the how and why of proper procedures. 6 months into the project, I received an unexpected visit in my office from Carmen, my former assistant at Crescent Moon. She had stayed when I left and now worked directly with Francisco. "He wants to promote Sophia," she said without preamble, "to assistant project manager." I raised an eyebrow. "And he sent you to test my reaction?" She smiled. "He sent me to get your honest assessment. Sophia has completed every training module with perfect scores. Her site reports are exemplary. The team actually respects her now." "And what do you think?" I asked. Carmen had always been perceptive about people. "I think she's genuinely changed, and I think having responsibility might solidify that change." I leaned back in my chair, considering. "Tell Francisco I'll support the promotion with one condition. Sophia needs to handle the next community presentation alone. Let's see how she does when representing the project to the people it actually affects." The community presentation was scheduled for the following week, a critical milestone where we'd update neighborhood residents on construction progress, timeline, and how their input had shaped design modifications. It was a high-pressure situation with potentially hostile questions from residents who had seen previous promises broken. I attended incognito, sitting in the back row of the community center. Sophia arrived early, setting up displays and personally greeting people as they entered. When she approached the podium, I noticed something surprising. She was nervous. The old Sophia would have covered insecurity with arrogance. This version acknowledged it directly. "Good evening, everyone. I'm Sophia Mendoza, Assistant Project Coordinator. Some of you may remember when this project stalled last year. That failure was partially due to my mistakes. Shortcuts I tried to take that compromised safety and violated your trust." A murmur ran through the crowd. This level of candor was unexpected. I'm here today not just to update you on our progress, but to assure you that every aspect of this project now goes through triple verification. Our partnership with Precision Protocol Consulting means nothing reaches construction without rigorous safety and compliance review. She proceeded to walk through updated plans, highlighting areas where community feedback had directly influenced design changes. When difficult questions came, she answered honestly, including several times when she said, "I don't know, but I'll find out and get back to you personally." By the end, initial skepticism had transformed into cautious optimism. Residents approached her afterward with follow-up questions, which she addressed with patience and transparency. I slipped out before she could see me, but I had seen enough. The next day, Francisco called. "I heard Sophia did well last night," he said immediately. "She did. I was there." "And your verdict?" I paused, knowing my next words would significantly impact Sophia's future. "I support the promotion. She's earned it." Francisco's relief was audible. "Thank you, Emma. Your endorsement means everything. Just remember, trust is rebuilt in small moments of integrity, repeated consistently over time. One good presentation doesn't erase the past." "I understand. We all understand." After hanging up, I stood at my office window looking out at the downtown skyline where our project gradually took shape. Cranes swung against the blue sky. Workers moved with purpose across the site, and the community had begun believing again in the promise of revitalization. This wasn't the revenge I had initially imagined when I returned from my honeymoon to 212 missed calls. It was something more complex, more nuanced, rebuilding instead of destruction. I hadn't ruined Sophia or Francisco. I had helped create a framework where they could become better versions of themselves while ensuring my own position of strength. And in doing so, I had built something much more valuable than a system only I could understand. I had built a model of accountability that could truly outlast any individual project or person. That evening, as Alex and I walked past the construction site on our way to dinner, we stopped to watch the sunset gleam off the partially completed structures. "Are you happy with how things turned out?" he asked, squeezing my hand. I considered the question carefully. "I'm satisfied. Not because they suffered, but because real change occurred. The company is safer. The buildings are more solid. The community will benefit. And Sophia," I searched for the right word. "Sophia is becoming someone her position deserves. Whether that redemption continues depends on her." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "You know, when I showed you that text on our wedding day, I never imagined this outcome. I thought you'd want scorched earth. Maybe I would have if you hadn't shown me another way." I leaned into his shoulder. "You taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes it's about reconstruction, but on your terms, not theirs." He kissed the top of my head. "Speaking of reconstruction, the house renovations are finally finished. Should we invite Francisco and Sophia over for dinner to celebrate?" I laughed at the suggestion. "Let's not push it. Professional respect is one thing. Friendship is quite another." "Fair enough," he conceded with a smile. One step at a time. One step at a time. That had become my mantra through this entire journey. From the moment I received that text on my wedding day to the partnership that rose from the ashes of my termination, each step had led me not just to survival, but to genuine triumph. The downtown project would be completed under budget and ahead of schedule. My consulting firm would continue growing, and I would forever be known as the woman who turned a wedding day termination into a business model that changed the industry. As Alex and I continued our evening walk, my phone vibrated with a text. It was from Sophia. "Thank you for supporting the promotion. I won't let you down." I showed it to Alex, who raised an eyebrow. "Going to respond?" I thought for a moment, then typed, "Make sure you don't. Some gifts can't be returned." As I hit send, I realized the text had arrived exactly 1 year to the day after her gift to me on my wedding day. The symmetry wasn't lost on me, nor, I suspect, on her. Some would say I should have crushed Sophia completely when I had the chance, that I should have dismantled Francisco's company piece by piece instead of helping rebuild it, that my revenge wasn't vengeful enough. But those people would be missing the point. Real power isn't about destruction. It's about having the ability to destroy and choosing a different path. It's about reshaping reality according to your vision. not just reacting to someone else's cruelty. In the end, I didn't just get revenge, I got ahead. And I did it not by lowering myself to Sophia's level, but by rising so high above her that it would take years for her to climb up to where I now stood. If you've stayed with me through this story, you might be wondering if you could show the same restraint in my position. Could you turn betrayal into opportunity? Could you transform revenge into reform? It's not an easy path, but sometimes the most satisfying victories aren't about what you destroy, but what you build from the ashes of what tried to destroy you.